when something has been created that is causing 10-year-old children to consider taking their own lives, then that is...
Guys, welcome to episode number 1 of Ryze Kōrero, where we're going to be unwrapping the movie, the documentary, the social dilemma. We're going to keep this light. We're going to keep this entertaining. You're going to be able to unwrap and be educated about how we feel about this documentary. So if you don't know about this documentary, it really unpacks and uncovers what goes on behind this phone when you're scrolling your feed on your timeline. And some interesting things came out of it. So myself, my colleagues Nikki and James are going to tell you how we feel and what some of our feelings are behind the findings in the social dilemma. So guys, welcome.
Hey. How's it going?
All good. Look, Nikki, I'm going to start with you. Being the mum of 3 beautiful boys, one of them touching on teenage years, adolescence. I just want to kind of get your feelings, one as a mum, but also as an entrepreneur. So I think the first one I really want to kind of cover is, what did you learn and how do you feel about your boys entering into this world of social media and stuff?
Yeah, cool. Thank you, Nick. I've got plenty to say about that, which those of you that know me know that I've always got plenty to say about lots of things. But anyway, as a mum, for sure, it's terrifying to me. I'm very strict about my boys' usage of devices. They are in a school where they have all their own iPads. E-learning is the norm. So they spend, not all day, but they spend a lot of time in their classrooms on devices, using them. So for me, that feels like enough. My son Leo does have a phone. He's 12, but it's not really enabled. I sort of took it away, really. More of a communication device. My husband James and I have decided that the iPads are very much learning devices only. And before watching The Social Dilemma, I just really struggled with the whole screen time thing and the way that it changed my boys' behaviour, particularly my older one. And then I sort of made a decision, we made a decision as a family that weekends and school holidays were goodbye devices, shut down. Weekends and school holidays are for real life experiences. That's my catchphrase, real life experiences. And so that's just the norm, right? My kids just know that, they expect that. The thing that I did struggle with though, I was like, right, okay, am I teaching my kids, am I allowing my kids to moderate their own, well, especially Leo, am I allowing him the opportunity to moderate his behavior and moderate how he uses this device, this whatever. By taking it away, I'm not giving him a chance to sort of exercise his self-control or his willpower. But then after watching The Social Dilemma, I realize that the whole thing is rigged and it doesn't want you to exercise your willpower or your self-control. It's totally disenabling it, So then I feel, okay, cool, I'm comfortable with that. I'm comfortable with my decision that we are, device free, that my kids don't have, social media, that they don't engage on that. And then also hearing those guys say that their kids to have, no screen time or no access to social media. A lot of them, I was like, cool, I'm on board with that. But yeah, for sure. So that's my view as a mum. What was my other?
Well, if I can just kind of quickly switch over to James, because I kind of want to get this parenting thing, because I suppose it's for selfish reasons as well. My kids are, one's 7 next week and the other one's 5. So it'd be very interesting to see, how 2 different parents, because we're going to get to that stage eventually, obviously. And he's already asking, the oldest one is already asking, Mum, when can I have a phone? Dad, when can I have a phone? Right. And it's just like, dude, you're 6, right? There's like plenty of time to be scrolling through your timeline, when you're older. But if I can just kind of quickly switch over to James and just say, James, you've got a fairly large whānau, and I know you've got various ages in your your little tribe.
Mm.
How do you feel as a parent with what you've experienced in social media and screens and stuff?
Well, look, my eldest is 23, and so we've got three kids that have all left home already, and so they've been through this whole social media process already. And then we've got 3 teenage girls at home as well who are going through this Gen Z, if you like to call it, process at the moment of trying to figure out what the social media thing's all about. So like Nikki, we've always set rules in our house. There's no screens at the table while we're having dinner. Our kids were allowed phones from about the age of, it was around about 14. And really it was 13, 14, it was really around safety, being able to contact them while they're at school. But eventually as a parent, you kind of get to this point where, I don't know, the kids grow up and you somewhat feel as a parent, you can no longer control them. You can't control everything they do. And so you can try to put things in place to teach them the right things, but they're going to do things behind your back anyway. We all did, right? We all did things behind our parents' backs. And so you're just not going to know about these things. And so how do you build that trust up in them to get them to be able to talk to you about what's going on or what's really, really going on, you know? Like, remember when you were kids and you only told your parents this much, but actually it's a bit deeper than that. So how do you find out what's actually going on? And so I think for us, we've learned that trying to let go a little bit, but also keep rules. Like ground rules are, having family dinner, no devices. But you can't just control everything. When they're younger, I think up until the age of about 13, 14, even maybe 15, there's a little bit of leniency, but that's really what we've instilled in our family is, like when guests come over and they've got their phones at the table, our kids pipe up and they're like, hey, no phones at the table. And, we've had close aunties and uncles come over and they're sitting there on their phone while we're having dinner. And the kids are just like, they don't want to say anything and they're looking and they're like, are they going to put the phone away? And you can see the kids. So, it's really good that they've learned these rules, but it's really scary at the same time. You can see, we haven't gotten onto it yet, but I can see.
Yeah. We'll get into that. Yeah, definitely. We'll get into that. We'll definitely get into that. So I just wanted to kind of start this off with just us as parents. And, it does paint a bleak picture about how some sexes and ages go through the different emotions that I didn't know about, which I do want to unpack later on. But it's just very interesting to hear from parents who are going through those teen years and how you're giving access and rules, and it's really good to hear that, because my wife are kind of going through that same thing at the moment. We need to be aware of this thing. Can't be just giving them
game plan.
You got to have a bit of a game plan. I mean, I like your idea there, Nikki. But let's roll into some things that you took away from this documentary. What kind of stood out for you? What kind of shocked you? What did you know about, and what really surprised you?
Yeah, so we've had this conversation. We've talked about the addictive nature of social media and just the device, the phone, and I knew all of that stuff was going on, but I think just having it all presented in one documentary over an hour and a half it was, wasn't it? Hour and 40 minutes, whatever.
Yep.
All there presented to you in one lump sum was really confronting and devastating to me, actually. Devastating to me, to be fair. And I think the one thing that really got me right where I just couldn't bear it was to think that, when they talk about preteen suicide, and I just, when something has been created that is causing 10-year-old children to consider taking their own lives, then that is, are we allowed to swear on these Ryze talks? That's beyond messed up, man. That is beyond messed up. So personally, I can't support I can't support that. I can't support. And even though I knew that there were, you know, kids self-harming, and there were kids conflicted by, you know, their own sort of self-worth and all the rest of it. Again, it was just having it all there presented in one lump sum, watching, you know, the destabilization of society, of humanity across the world, all the, you know, all the case studies, all the different scenarios that they presented us, that had all been created because of social media. Yeah, so personally, from a personal standpoint, I just can't support that stuff, you know. And yeah, that was heartbreaking to me. So I think that was the number one that really got me right in my heart, was like, come on, man, when there are I mean, nobody, I don't want anyone to take their own life, but obviously it's a fact of life. It exists, you know, suicide exists. But when you've got, you know, 10-year-old children, that's all kind of messed up, man. And that something has to change. Something has to change. Yeah. So that was probably my biggest takeaway. Do you want me to keep going? Because I can. Yeah, so it's, you know, and obviously being in a, you know, it's conflicting as well, of course. So I've decided, from a personal point of view, I don't participate, I don't support platforms like this anymore. And just purely, and it's funny, like I've always been like I've had a Facebook account and I have an Instagram account, and I'll scroll through and I'll be like, I should be doing something else. This isn't work, you know, what am I doing? I'm wasting my time. I should be doing something else. Put it down. I don't get sucked into I don't find myself falling down the rabbit hole. I find myself being agitated by it. So I just put it down. And so whether that's, you know, I don't know what that says about me, but so then I sort of feel like, and we talked about it the other day, you know, if I don't want to support it from a personal point of view, and I know it's kind of conflicting, because it's like, well, if you work in a digital marketing agency, you are supporting it. But so therefore I feel like we have a social responsibility to have this conversation, to share this conversation, to make sure that we are following best practice, to make sure that we, you know, and I go back to our values, and one of our values is to be what the people need. And we decided that those people are our clients, to be what they need, that our people are our team, our Ryze team, to be what each other needs. And I think those people, we need to add another group, and the people is the world, right? Society is all the people out there. We need to take our role in this space really seriously, and make sure we are responsible. Our other values as well were to be change agents and to be bold leaders. So I think this documentary really gives us an opportunity to decide, you know, how we want to stretch those values to include this issue. Yeah.
Kia ora.
So
Kia ora.
I've got an answer to how. Yeah.
No, that's an awesome takeaway that you've just unpacked there. And, you know, for those that have made it this far in this video and you haven't watched that on Netflix, I do encourage you to go and just watch it, keep an open mind, and just, you know, come away with a look behind the curtain, right? Because if you can think of this thing being one great big curtain, there's a whole lot of stuff going on behind this phone that you may or may not know about. And look, I'll come to you, James, and just, you're a tech guy. We know each other for like a little while now, and I know how tech savvy you've been in the industry for such a long time, being this web guy and a whole bunch of other stuff. So interested to hear your take, you know, about the whole social media stuff and what it's doing to society.
Yeah, so I guess from my side, I knew this was happening anyway. You know, like I knew they were tracking us. There's an article back in, I think it might have been 2011, 2012, where it was written because Facebook got in trouble for, Facebook was found to be tracking whatever things you were typing into your keyboard. So not just the actual message, but as you're typing, they were tracking what that was. And then if you press backspace to delete something, they'd already know that that sentence was removed. And they knew what your original kind of sentence would be if you were going to say it. So if you're angry at someone, and you were going to write something angry back, but then you decided to delete that and go, actually, no, I'm not going to do that. I'm going to reply in a nicer way. Well, they know that that post would have set you off. So they're understanding all of these things about us, and they got in trouble for that. And when I heard that back then, I'm like, these guys aren't just tracking like what we're typing on our keyboards and what we're deleting. They're tracking everything. Like they're tracking our movements. They've got the, like there was a time there when I was talking about a holiday over in, like it'll be awesome to go to Greece. I was talking with someone else about it, and then up on my timeline pops holidays about Greece. I'm like, this shit's weird. Like, why is it following me around? Like, this is my microphone here that would have detected that, because I never typed it anywhere. So I knew that this technology, like you say, Nick, yeah, I'm a tech guy, and I knew this technology existed. I guess this is just bringing it out to the forefront and making us more aware of what these guys are doing. And it's, it's hard because, like Nikki said, like I was trying to think of one word to sum up how I feel about this movie, and it's that I'm conflicted. It's exactly what it is. On one side, it's my job as a digital marketer to push a business out there and get them more attention. On the other side, it's my job as a parent to make sure my kids aren't being harmed by this shit, And so I feel really conflicted. I feel really conflicted, and I see people who waste and spend their time on social media just sitting there like flicking through bullshit. Like, why would you do that? Why sit there? What's that? You sit, yeah. And like there was that instance where the notification came up, and it's like, I know what we're going to do. We're going to tell him he's tagged in a photo. And so then you go on Facebook and get sucked into the whole trap. And it's like, yeah, I used to be that guy. Now I'm like, no notifications, no Messenger, no Facebook, no nothing. Turn it all off. And now I'm like really purposeful about what I do on there. I do get sucked in sometimes though, when I go into a group and I'm looking through the group and then a notification pops up, but it's very rare. I've limited my time. I guess that's what you get from a free platform. You want to use this stuff for free. This is what you get.
Eventually, someone's going to want to start making some money.
Yeah, they're going to sell you. They're going to sell your data, and you're just the puppet. You're just a puppet in their game. And I think the other scary thing too is would have been about a year ago, I heard in the news they're bringing out Facebook for kids, or Facebook Messenger for kids, so that you can like get your kids to send a message to your friends' kids, and it's like,
start them young.
I don't fucking want my kids signing up to that shit. Like, they're not going on there. They are not going on there. Like, they're not going to message their cousins, because what sort of ads are my kids going to get shown? Why do I want Facebook tracking my kids? So I've like, if you go to my Facebook feed now, I've stopped posting photos of my kids. I've stopped like putting up happy birthday posts, because I just ring the person and go, hey, I just wanted to ring you to say happy birthday, Like,
which is way more meaningful, right? Way more meaningful.
Way more.
When I came off Facebook, what happened to my birthday messages on my birthday? Only the people who actually knew when my birthday was.
Right, exactly.
Yeah.
It's like
the meaningful video. Not that it wasn't meaningful, it was, but it was before, but it was like,
hard out. Like, and I've got, I don't know, I think I've got like 1,500 people on my Facebook friends list. I don't know half of them. Like, half of them I've met through gigs. I'm sorry if you're on there. Like, this isn't, like, I
sure, you're nice and stuff.
I'll tell you something really bad I did a couple of years ago. I was like, I got these messages every day about people's birthdays, and I was like, fuck, I want to go and reach out to everyone and say happy birthday, but I can't. So I'm going to write an IFTT. There you go, IFTT, go Google that. And what it does is it looks at who's on your birthday list and automatically posts a happy birthday post on their feed. I was like, I want to say happy birthday to these people, but I just want it automated. And I'm like, fuck, I've just turned into a machine. I've just turned myself into an automated. And I was like, no more.
Pretty much.
No more. So I see like the problem with technology. I don't think these guys intended to do this. I think what's come out of this is, hey, we needed a way to make some money. And so what we're going to do is figure out a way, because Facebook was never built to make money. It was built as a social platform.
Yeah.
So it is a great platform. But I think now...
You know, the guy, I remember the one thing you remember is the guy the guy just designed the like button, and he was like, when we designed the like button, it was all about spreading love and joy around the world, you know, and it's like, you know, they came from a pure place, and that's cool. And what I also, sorry, I just to jump in, but one of the other things I really think the key message as well is that, you know, Tristan Harris and all those guys in the Centre for Human Technology, they're not saying technology is bad. They're not saying, they're just saying we've got to change the way it's being used. We've got to change the way it is, you know,
I mean,
destroying people's lives. And
they didn't intend for it to happen, right? It's just the way it's just happened. They're their own worst enemy, right? We can't, you know, like
just money. Greed.
Well, you know, in the first instance, I suppose we've got to look at it like exactly like how you look at it, James, conflicted, because I am conflicted, and this documentary does paint, you know, a pretty bleak picture of all the bad stuff. But at the same time, there's been so much good that's come out of these platforms. There's so much good that's come out of these tools. People have connected with each other. They've gotten married. They've had children. You know, money's been raised. Businesses have been created. So, you know, there is a huge amount of good that have come out of Facebook, Twitter, and all these other platforms. So, you know, we do owe them a thank you in some ways, because like the good stuff that's come out of it has been great. And I suppose in their defense, if I'm going to play a little bit of devil's advocate here, had they not monetized it, if they didn't come up with a way to monetize it, it would have just been, Facebook would have just been a platform that everyone used back in the day and they don't use it anymore. Which is, you know, there's been hundreds of those platforms that have been used. Yeah, it was pretty cool, but it just didn't survive.
It wasn't faster, it wasn't bigger, it wasn't louder,
exactly.
It wasn't,
Exactly. So had they not done that, and even worse, if they didn't figure it out and some other shithead did figure it out, who was in a country that was like, you know, prone to just mass manipulation, and they did figure it out, perhaps maybe, you know, we'd be in a different scenario. So in some ways I thank them.
Yeah.
In their defense, they needed to monetize it. They needed to get people on board. They needed to get more users. You know, they were just burning money constantly. No, they weren't making any money, but they were just burning through lots of money, right? So get that out of the way. Well, what I didn't know, like I knew that when I stop on a picture and I stay there, it times me. I know that when I share something, like something, it goes through this massive machine and it paints this profile of myself. What I didn't know, though, was that the machine is also incentivized to bring me back. I didn't know that bit. You know, it's got that bit where the kid's mum takes the phone away, and why she didn't like lock it up or something, I don't know. But she kids,
leave it on the bench.
Oh, yeah, leave it on the bench. Yeah. I trust you so much. Yeah, exactly. So there was that scene where, you know, oh, he hasn't been on, what's going on? And then I started thinking back to other times where I used to get a message, like a notification saying some random person that I've known has just done something. And I'd be like, why the, okay, so I'll go on. Yeah. Why are you telling me this?
Weird. Yeah.
And the wife said, yeah, I remember when I've had like a notification for someone has just got a new job or something like that.
Yeah.
I think the scenario was your ex-girlfriend's now got a new boyfriend.
Yeah. That was enough to hook him back in.
It was enough to hook him back in, right? So I didn't know a lot of that stuff, but I am quite optimistic as well. I'm optimistic that there are groups of people working on a disruptor to Facebook, because Facebook disrupted something else. Something's definitely going to disrupt Facebook. And I remember seeing an interview with that guy with the dreads. I don't remember what his name is.
Oh, he's awesome. He's favorite.
Awesome. Yeah, he's in. And I think the reporter said, what can they do to fix this? And he says they can't. They can't fix it because fundamentally, that's how their businesses run. You can't go now into their business and, you know, fuck with it and change it. And because it's
unravel it all,
right? So there, I believe there are groups of people somewhere out there. If you're watching this video, keep doing what you're doing, okay? just keep doing what you're doing, because I think there is some way out there where someone's going to create another social platform that is not built with a machine that is trying to incentivize you to stay on for your attention and then sell your attention and everything like that. So
I just think as well, like, those guys are just all that, they're, the Tristan Harris and all that crew. I mean, what they're really calling for is for these companies to all be, these platforms to be regulated by an external body, right?
Yeah.
And because they clearly can't regulate themselves. And I thought that there was one guy, and he talked about, what about taxing them on the data? Taxing on the data that they choose to store. And, it's like, maybe then they'll think twice about how much they're,
Well, being the sales guy I am, I'm thinking to myself, well, you're selling my impression at like 3 cents an impression. Give me 10%. Give me 10%.
Give me 10%. Y'all ready for this?
Give me 10%.
Yeah.
You know? I mean, at the end of the month,
I want a commission.
At the end of the month, right, I'm going to have a Facebook account, and you're going to drop whatever impressions, and it's probably only going to be $2. It's probably only going to be, going to be like 50 cents. It's going to be 50 cents.
You want that data, you pay for it.
Yeah.
But
thank you. Here's my invoice.
50 cents times 2 billion people that are on it, right? So if they're getting money,
I reckon this video should be titled "How to Fix the Social Dilemma."
No, no, I don't think,
That is gold. That is gold.
Pay the people.
As much as I think that we have got some good brains in this Zoom, but anyway, I'm sure there are some people out there.
We're not big enough for that. I will. Yeah.
Have you seen our projects list? Have you seen all the stuff we've got going on at the moment? But no, I just, for those that are out there that are watching this, please keep what you're doing. If there was one key takeaway for me, I think at the end it was one of the authors of the book. She said that she follows on Twitter people that have different views to her.
Yes.
Because the way, and this is so true. Like, I follow people and I get fed all the stuff that I believe in, right? So all the stuff that is valuable to myself and what I believe in and stuff, I get fed all that stuff, right? And I said, that is such a good idea, because this is how this polarization works, right? I remember in 2016, my timeline was just full of people telling the other side how dumb they are. And, how can you be so stupid? It was like this one side saying, you're dumb, you're stupid. And the other side going, no, I'm not, you're dumb, you're stupid. Right. And they're all getting fed stuff with your, in this country, Labour or National, blue or red or, whatever. When you start following these certain things, you're just getting fed. You're just getting confirmation bias. Yeah. It's confirming all of your beliefs that you're right. Yeah. They're wrong. So what she does is like, and I've done the same thing. I've just gone on to my Twitter and started following a lot of politicians and a lot of people that that challenge your values or challenge your ideals. Exactly. A simple thing like that is all it really takes for you to kind of start to get some different views in that algorithm. Fuck the algorithm up. Yeah. Totally. Yeah, I think that the key thing is just to not think, because so many people will be complacent and will be like, oh, well, it is what it is. I can't do anything about it. And that's fine, and that's, because really that's, largely that's true, right? But I just think as long as there are people like us as well, advocating for a positive change and and following best practice ourselves, which obviously we do for sure. And, making, just steering our ship in the right direction, and that's what we can do. Yeah. Any final words from you, James?
Yeah, I guess, I think one thing we've all kind of got in common here is that we are all educating our children. We're all controlling, we know our next generation coming through, like us as a team here I'm talking about, is we've got rules in place, or we're bouncing off each other about how we educate our kids around technology. You know, like we're not giving them a phone at 10 years old, and we're not letting them go on social all weekend and that kind of thing. I think it really, like a lot of this is making sure that our kids that come through, making them aware of what actually happens to their data. You know, I make sure, especially my girls, I make sure that they know when they're going to upload a photo, where it goes. They're not the only one that's going to see it. It's going to live on 20 different servers around the world. When you delete that photo, it's still there. Someone can still pull it up. So, you know, I think it's about making sure we're educating our kids. We're educating them on what happens with your data, where it goes, where it lives. Even if you don't have a tech background, like go and research it and see where your data lives. Like, fuck, it's not that hard. But I think if you can educate them and get them understanding what's happening and making them more aware of this stuff, then it could potentially change, you know, what like it's just making them more aware. Hey, should I take that? Should I do that? You know, so that's one thing that I'd definitely recommend, and that's cool that you guys are already doing it. And the other thing is, set limits. Like, social media is okay. You know, it's a great tool to be used for the right things. Everything's okay in moderation. You know, so moderate yourself. Be more aware of how much time you're spending on social or you're spending on an app, especially if it's free. If an app is free, then what is it doing? What is it doing with your data or your information? So yeah, those are my kind of key takeaways. I love Facebook. I do. Can I admit it? But I don't like what it does with our data. But if we want to put it out there, if you're going to put it out there and you're going to put shit out there, expect for it to, you know, expect something to happen with that data. So if you don't want your kids' shit out there, then, you know, take your phones off them, get them off it, block Facebook on your internet. There you go. That's my takeaway anyway.
Nice. Any final words from you, Nikki?
No, yeah, it's cool. Like I say, the thing about the awareness, if you've got bringing up a generation full of awareness, then their behaviour is going to, by default, the system's going to have to change, isn't it? Because all of a sudden, if you've got kids that are more aware, they're not going to be falling victim to these platforms in the way that they've been designed to suck everybody in and So I think that's a really good point.
Yeah.
Just educate. And like you say, it's all moderation, but it's a bit harder when the system's been rigged and it's designed to disenable your ability to moderate.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, like,
and I did love one point. Sorry, there's only two industries in the world that have users.
Yeah, that have users. Drug companies,
the drug industry,
and
the social media.
Software, it's like, what the fuck, like, oh my god.
How did we not make that connection before?
yeah, exactly. Users.
I mean, woo.
I know in this that Facebook's been beaten up a lot. This is really directed at Facebook and Twitter, but I know Google is doing shit, and they have got so much data on us.
Oh yeah. They talked about Google though.
Oh yeah, they talked about Gmail. But you think about search and your profile and YouTube and everything else they own and analytics on every single site and the profile they have on you. Fuck, they've got shitloads. And every ad you click on, they've got shitloads.
The guy talked about designing that algorithm that would then recommend for YouTube, that would then recommend, just recommend the viewing, keeping
scary shit.
Rabbit hole.
Well, guys, I know we could geek out for hours on this, but really appreciate your guys' time. Really appreciate those who are watching that have made it this far. And this is the end of our first Kōrero number 1 on the Social Dilemma. So I hope you really enjoyed it. Take care. Have a good one.